Welcome to my AMA for June 30. Last week, as some of you saw in my email, last week we went over to North Carolina for our family trip, and we had a great time. And then next week we're going to go to a wedding over in Little Rock. So we have a month of a little bit of traveling. So next week I don't think I'm going to have anything, but then the following week I am going to have something on Spark, a mail app that I use. So. Welcome to my AMA, and today we got about 8 or 9 questions, and then we can go into a Q&A. The nice thing with today, I did a little pre-checking with people that were joining and all that, and I get to skip by my little bio here. So see ya. All right. Everyone here is a member is basically why that is. The first question that I have is, what is the little arrow next to the time in the upper left-hand corner or upper corner of the screen I'm assuming Hale meant on an iPhone because he said the upper left-hand corner, but it also does show on an iPad. And basically what this is, I'll show you what it is first. Go to my iPad and iPhone here. We're going to go with let's go with the iPad first. You're going to see that up in the upper right-hand corner, I have this little arrow there next to the Wi-Fi. That arrow is basically telling me that an app has recently used my location. And when we go to the iPhone, you're going to see again, whoops, let's see here, weather is always low. There we go. You're going to see again, I have that little, oh, now it's gone. So that arrow disappeared because the phone is no longer using my location. So that's why that arrow can appear and disappear at times. If I open up the weather app, it's going to get my weather. So now when we look back up there, you can see we have the arrow. And eventually what it will do is it'll disappear again because it's no longer using my location. So that will show if you're using if I go into the camera app, the camera obviously marks my location when I take a photo. So I go back to my home screen, I have that little arrow there. So essentially what that arrow is telling you is an app has recently used your location. It may not be currently using your location, but it has recently used your location. Now, to add to a little bit of confusion with it, it can be a different color and it can be hollow. So if I go back over to the iPad, you're going to see that is a hollow arrow, while the iPhone, when I go to the weather app, is a solid arrow. So what's the difference between a solid arrow and a hollow arrow? And sometimes you might see a purple arrow there. Well, basically what that arrow is telling you is if it's a hollow arrow, it's using your location based on specific conditions. Don't ask me what those conditions are. I have no idea. But Apple says it's based on specific conditions. If it is a solid gray arrow, that means that it has used your location recently. I think that is. Well, I'll show you where I get this information. It's on the iPad and iPhone. And then a hollow arrow is it's used your location in the last 24 hours. I might have that reversed, so we'll find out. You can also see which apps are using your location. So that little arrow can kind of give you an indication, oh, there's an app using my location. You want to see which app it is? All you have to do, we'll go to the iPad here, is go over to your settings app, and then you go over to privacy, and up at the top we have location services. Under location services, I can see all of the apps that are using my location. Now, these don't all have to be using my location. These are all the apps that are capable of using my location. If we look over here, you're going to see it says while using. So this is when these apps can use my location while I'm using that app. This one searches when it is shared. The weather app, while using. So essentially what you can do, here's dark sky, is always using my location. So you can easily see which one or when they can use that your location. You can also change that, of course. You can just go over here and just say never to any one of the apps that you don't want to know your location. So maybe with Instagram or Facebook or any of those social media apps, not saying you need to, but maybe you might want to just say, you don't need to know my location. This is where you would do that. You would just go into Facebook and just say, don't ever know my location. And the iPad and iPhone will never share the location with that app, even if you're using it. Now, again, you're going to see that I have these little, here's a hollow purple one. And down here I have the gray arrow. And here I have a purple arrow, solid. So what does all this mean again? Well, basically, if we go down to the bottom, this is where we have that key. So you can always see what these different colors mean by just going down to the very bottom. So basically, a hollow arrow indicates that an item may receive your location under certain conditions. Again, I'm not really sure what that means, but it's not going to use it all the time. A purple arrow indicates that an item has recently used your location. So when I say recent, it could be within the last hour, or not in the last day, but in the last hour or whatever. A gray arrow tells you that an app has used your location in the last 24 hours. So purple is a little bit more immediate. Hollow means that it is under specific conditions, and gray means within the last 24 hours. So basically, if you see that arrow up there a lot, all you have to do is just go to your location services within the privacy settings, and you can actually see which apps are able to use your location, and then you can also see which ones have used your location recently. So that's what that little arrow means. And on the iPad, it's in the upper right-hand corner. On the iPhone, it's in the upper left-hand corner. I believe it's on all of them in the upper left-hand corner. You can see it there because I'm looking at the weather, and if I get out of the weather, that will disappear. So if I go back up to the top on my iPhone, that little arrow there will eventually disappear because I'm no longer in the weather app, so it's no longer using there it goes, it just disappeared. So that's why you may see it sometimes and not see it other times. And just go to your privacy settings, location services, and you can easily see which apps are using that location. So that's what the little arrow next to the time means on the iPad and the iPhone. Next question. I love the feature of unlocking my Mac with my watch, Apple Watch. Sometimes I get a message stating that the Wi-Fi connection is weak and it won't unlock. Oops, I get a little typo in there. Why is that? This is from Bruce. And I know exactly what he's talking about. If I go to my Mac, let's see if I can do this here. What you're able to do with the Mac, if I go to my system preferences and you have an Apple Watch, I'm not sure if it's going to show here or not. But basically what you're able to do right down in this area here, because I don't have an Apple Watch for this Mac, what you would see here is a checkbox where you can have the Apple Watch unlock your Mac. So then all you have to do is just be near your Mac, and instead of using the Touch ID, reaching over to the keyboard and things like that, it will just automatically unlock based on the proximity of your Apple Watch. Now, the way that this works is through Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. I'm in my office here. If Beth were in my office here and I was in the living room, being that I'm so far away from the Mac, she would not be able to, it would not unlock it. So you do have to be near the Mac in order for this to work. Let's enable transcriptions here. Thank you. So you have to be near the Mac for it to work. If you're, I've noticed that if you're within, it seems to be like 5 feet away from your Mac, it will not work. So that's a security thing. But that doesn't mean that it's always going to work. And basically, like what Bruce is talking about, it doesn't always work. All of a sudden, it'll say poor Wi-Fi connection. So he ended up, I didn't have enough space on here, but with the Y, if I go back over to the question here, on the why. He's like, is it Bluetooth? And everything that I've read, I did a little bit of research on this, and everything that I've read is yes, it seems to be with the Bluetooth. And this is a recurring problem. This is not a Monterey problem. This happened in previous versions of Mac OS as well. The solution to fixing it can vary. Sometimes what I will do is just ignore it and then it'll work the next time. I'll say that typically what I will do. I don't troubleshoot it because it just seems to come back. But what I've read, what you can do is obviously reboot your devices. So reboot the Apple Watch, reboot the Mac. See if that works better. Another thing you can do is turn Bluetooth on and off. You might want to try that first because rebooting the Mac and rebooting the iPad or the Apple Watch takes a little bit longer. But basically reset the Bluetooth connection. That's another thing that you can do. What Apple actually has an article on this, just a very short article, but I did find it on Apple support. What they say to do is, if I go back over to my Mac, again, you can't see it here, but there is a little message right down here where you can checkbox. They recommend unchecking that and then checking it again. And I actually found that. Okay, and that didn't help?
No.
So
that coming on tonight, the same thing happened. I turned the iMac on and it didn't unlock it. So I just hit the Touch ID.
Yeah.
There are many ways to solve problems with a Mac. I have 3 options.
Yeah. It does it do it a lot? Or like 50% of the time? Well, that's a lot to me.
A little bit less than 50% of the time.
Yeah. I would say it's probably about 30% of the time with me. And I have not figured out a pattern for it because I just haven't bothered with it because I'm like you. I'll just hit the Touch ID. It works great when it works, but it's not perfect. And apparently it seems to be an ongoing issue. And my guess is it's Bluetooth.
Yeah. So you've seen it too. That's
yep. I have. Yeah, I knew exactly what you're talking about as soon as I saw that question come through. Yep.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Yep. All right. The next question. This is from Anne. What's that?
I was just going to say that I have the same problem, but that it required me, for some reason, to unlock my phone in order to get the Bluetooth and my Mac and my watch all together.
Really?
I don't know why.
That's interesting. Huh. I wouldn't see why the phone would have anything to do with it, but
I have no idea.
Yeah. Like I said, it seems to be a pretty. I hate to say this, because when you see this on, well, I read it all over the internet, and well, I saw all the forums. I've seen this with Tesla, with Apple, and all that, and it's just like, well, you can find what you want to find on, But it did seem it was a pretty easy thing to find that there is issues with this. So I'm going to say it's unfortunately more common than what we want it to be, and it's not anything that you're doing, is my guess. So.
Yeah.
All right. So Ann brought up, my photos are on an external drive because I was running out of space. Now the photos do not always load when I click on the Photos app. Ann, when you do this, is your hard drive connected to your Mac? You said it's a Mac Mini, I believe.
Yes.
So you probably don't disconnect the hard drive, correct?
Yeah, it's hooked up all the time.
Yeah, hooked up all the time. So typically what will happen, the reason why I asked that is typically what will happen is if the hard drive is disconnected and you open up the Photos app, it can't find that library, and then then it disconnects itself. So then you have to reconnect it back up to that library. That's typically what will happen. So it will do it sometimes, and other times it won't.
Randomly, it will do it, but most of the time it won't.
Have you tried? So there's a trick in the in Photos. What you can do is tell it where your default Photos library is, and
yeah, I did that.
Okay, so that's by holding down. For those that don't know, if you hold down the Option key, what you're able to do is set where the library is. I don't have a particular answer with that. It sounds like the hard drive must be becoming disconnected every once in a while, or Do you know if it's when it goes to sleep and then when you wake it back up? Have you seen the pattern with that?
No, I'm using the same hard drive. I have it partitioned as my
Okay.
time machine backup, and that's backing up consistently.
Okay. So flag number one, you know that those photos are not being backed up to your time machine, correct?
Right, because it's on a different,
Yep.
yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
And
I'm also using iDrive for backup.
okay. And you said that you'd put them on. Do you have a lot of photos?
Yeah, in the thousands.
In the thousands. And you
They're
ran out of
also up.
space you ran out of space, so that's why you put them on the external hard drive.
Right. I made the mistake of buying a
Gloria J.
Mac Mini with only a 500
Hello?
Okay.
gigabyte drive.
Can I, no, can I call you back? I'm on a workshop.
All right. I might
Put yourself on
No, I
mute.
did not.
mute everyone,
I would ask
and
my
then
doc-
Ann, you'll have to unmute yourself. So, all right. If you can unmute. Whoops, that's not what I want. Let's go here.
Now, one of the troubleshooting things when I was trying to figure why this wasn't working, someone had mentioned on some discussion board that Clean My Mac has created problems with having a photo library on an external drive. So I did,
I
move that.
I am a fan, and you use SetApp, which is awesome. I am a fan of Clean My Mac. I generally don't like those types of apps because I find them a little bit gimmicky, but Clean My Mac has seemed to work pretty good. So
Yeah,
I
I've
have
used it for years.
yeah, I don't think that is what it is. My guess is it's just the hard drive somehow. The Photos app is losing track of it. I would say maybe how much space do you have on the hard drive?
On the one on my Mac Mini, only about 46 gigabytes. And, I get notices that I'm out of storage at
Yep.
that amount. They like to have 50
Yeah.
gigabytes.
Generally, you want to have about 10%. So, yep.
Right.
And next question would be, do you use iCloud Drive for your
Yes.
photos?
Yes. And I have extra storage, so I can, I think I just turned on the iCloud for photos to see if I could, retrieve them that way.
Right. Here's what
I can still get them on the iPad, and I can also get them in my Google Photos. They're automatically uploaded into Google Photos, so they're
Okay.
there. So I haven't lost them completely, but when you're working on different design things, it's kind of a pain
Right.
not to be able to access photos.
Right. It'd be awesome if you could get them back on the Mac Mini. So I know that I can tell you if I look at, I'm going to look at my personal phone here. I have 28,000 photos and videos on my in my Photos app. I'm using iCloud Drive to back them up or store them in cloud. So I don't store all of the photos in my the real photos on my phone. And I will tell you shortly that Apple does a really, really good job of compressing them. So
Yeah, I've got 17,000 on my phone.
Okay. So if what I'm wondering is once that gets uploaded into the cloud, see how big your photos library is on your Mac Mini. And I'm wondering if you'll be able to move it back. Yeah, my photos only take up 31 gigabyte, and that's 28,000. So what you can do, you may be familiar with this. You're pretty proficient with the Mac, if I remember right. But I'll show you what you can do is go into your About This Mac and basically go to storage. This is a nice little thing that I recently discovered where you can see where all of your space is being used. And see if you can see maybe you have some large files on there. That's what, where is it?
Yeah, I just discovered that myself this afternoon, and I
Yeah.
was finding a bunch of old Zoom recordings that I
Yeah.
did delete.
Right.
And that's amazing how much I freed up 10 gigabytes in about 10 minutes. So,
Yeah.
that's,
So
I'm gonna keep
I
that
would
back.
say see if you can clear up some space and try to get that photos library back on the Mac Mini. There's got to be something there that is 512 isn't. I mean, it's not. That's what I usually recommend people to get. I know you do graphic arts and all that, so you probably need more than that. But still, you should be able to have enough room for your photos library on there. Somehow you got to figure
Hey,
out how to get it back on there.
Dan
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Ann,
Yeah.
do you think if they were HEIF instead of JPEG, she could save some more space?
Yeah. Well, it depends. And if she
What was that last part?
Okay, there's a format called HEIF, which came out in 2017, high efficiency image format.
Mhm.
It's a replacement for JPEG. And it's a lot more compressed. And if you use
Okay.
HEIF format, maybe you can save some more room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll check into that. Thanks.
Yeah, and it does a really nice job.
Yes, the quality is very good.
And it does it with videos too. So if you have
Yes.
videos, they have a special format, and it is a standard video. Right? Bruce?
Yes, Microsoft uses it too.
Yeah. So it's just relatively new, and yeah, thank you.
5 years.
So yeah, the goal would be try to get that photos library on there by using different formats like that, and trying to clean off your Mac Mini. And my guess is you probably won't have that problem once you move it off of that external storage.
Yeah, I was thinking I still have my old Mac Mini 2018, and I was thinking, well, maybe I can use that somehow for storage.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, those are some ideas.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Next one. I thought this one, I mentioned this before I started recording. I thought this one was kind of a fun little project for me to try. How to get a fancy signature in Apple Mail. And this is from Barry. And I'm assuming, Barry, when you say fancy signature, it's basically your signature, right?
Signature and picture.
Yep,
A lot of
signature
people
and
wanna have their
picture,
picture
that
in
kind of thing. Yep. So I'm going to show you. I actually created a video on this, and I also recently created a video on this optimized storage thing for people that want to learn more about that. Like I say, with Ann, I recently discovered that as well. But let's go over to my Mac, and I'll show you how you can do this. Basically, you're going to be using a couple of different tools on the Mac. You're going to be using the Preview app, and you are going to be taking screenshots, a couple of screenshots. And then I actually write my signature on the iPad. If you have an iPad or an iPhone, you can use your iPad or iPhone to actually create the signature. So basically what Barry's talking about is, we all know that the Mail app has signatures. When I go and write an email, I'm able to add a signature in here. So by default, the signature, I just go up to Mail, and then I go over to Preferences here. By default, when you're looking at your signature, it's basically just text. So I can create all these different signatures in here, and then I can choose which one I want to use. And like I say, it's basically just text. And what Barry would like to do is add a photo in there, or even a signature in there. Well, if you go over to the right here, you can paste images in there. So if you have a photo, you are able to put a photo in there. If I go to my downloads here, let's see here. Do I have a photo of anything? Well, let's just take a screenshot. So I'm just going to take a screenshot of something here. That's going to go to my desktop. By default, that's where and we can see it's here. If I want to add an image in here, basically all I have to do is just drag it in there, and I've just added that image in there. That's pretty much it. But now what you want to do is you want to add a signature. Let's add some fun to it. I actually might do this now for my emails. Add my signature, because I think it's kind of cool and it's a little bit unique. Because not a lot of people do that. They'll have their photo in there, but they won't have their signature. So how do you do that? Well, essentially, the first thing that we need to do is we need to take a screenshot of a white background, because that's what we're going to draw our signature on. Well, if we look here, when we're looking at our mail app, we've got a perfect area here where we can take a screenshot of a white background. So I use Command-Shift-4, and like I say, I'll have a video on this probably next week, because there's a few steps, but basically Command-Shift-4, and now you can see it turned into a crosshairs, and what I'm able to do is just draw where I want to take a screenshot of. So again, it just needs to be a white background. This is just a perfect spot for it. It puts it down in the lower left-hand corner. Now what I could do is wait for it to go to the desktop, but I can also control-click on it, and we have more options. And one of them is open it up in preview. So that's what I want to do. Basically, I just want to open up this white background in preview, because in preview, what I'm able to do is actually add my signature in here. So let's go and do that. I'm going to hide my other apps. So now we're just looking at my preview here. And essentially what I want to do now is go over to markup. In the preview app, when we go to markup, you're going to see there is an option for an actual signature. The fancy signature, as Barry calls it. So I click on it, and there are my signatures. If I want to add a signature, all I have to do is just click on any one of these, and I've added it. But let's go and create a signature. You might not have these. In fact, if you've never used this, this is what it's going to look like. So now I want to add a signature. We have a few different ways to do that. I can use the trackpad. If I go click here to begin, I can actually draw my signature on the trackpad. It'll be pretty good. You know, I'm pretty proficient on the trackpad, but it's not perfect. If you have a mouse, you could draw it out with the mouse. Again, depending on how proficient you are, you might get a pretty good job. But if you have an iPad or an iPhone that are signed in with the same iCloud account, what you can do is go to iPad or iPhone, and I can select what I want to draw on. So I'm going to use my iPad here. So I just click on iPad. You'll see that my iPad is still looking at my settings here. But now, when I go to my iPad here and select it, my iPad just switched to where I can just type in or draw my signature. So I'm going to draw this just using my finger here. And when we go back to my Mac, look what we have. My signature. Now, if I'm not happy with that, I could just clear it and use it again, but I'm okay with that. So I'm going to go to Done. There's my signature. Now I want to add it back to this white background. So I click on it, and there it is. Just make it a little bit larger here. So there's my signature. Now what I need to do is I need to add that to the Mail app. So how do we do that? Well, remember how I was able to take this and drag it to that signature? That's basically what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this, Command-Shift-4, take a screenshot. There it is. I could wait for it to go to my desktop, so then I always have it, or I could control-click on it and save it to my clipboard. Let's just put it to my desktop here. It should go to my desktop. There it is. So now I have it on my desktop here. There it is. So I go back over to my Mail app. I go back into that Signatures here, and let's see, what would be the proper way to do it? Would it be above it? So put my cursor above it here, and I just go over to there, and now I've just added that signature. So now that I've added that signature to the Mail app, I need to add it to my Mail account. This is the last step. So I have it set as personal. I could go and create a new signature here, but so I want to go and add this over to iCloud so I can use it on that Mail account. Now when I go to New Mail, you can see I have signature here. I type in my message, blah, 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 and there's my signature. So that's how you can add a fancy signature. A few different steps in there, but it's relatively easy, I dare say. Essentially, all we want to do is take a screenshot of a white background, because that's all this is. It's just my signature on a white background. Take it into Preview app. The Preview app allows us to draw a signature. If you have an iPad, you can actually draw it on the iPad, and then all you do is take a screenshot of that new signature against the white background and drag it into your signature on the Mail app. So a lot of signatures in there, but that's essentially all you have to do. So
Can you import a template of any kind to this?
you could, because it can take it can take standard HTML, if I'm not mistaken. But you'd have to go to something like, I think you said signaturehound.com. You'd have to go somewhere where you could format it. If I go and make this bold, I'm adding formatting, and I'll make this italic, and I copy this, I am able to, it didn't do it. Oh, let's turn that off. I'm pretty sure, yeah. So you want to make sure that you turn always match my default message, turn that off. Otherwise, what it's going to do is strip all the formatting out. So go into another app, maybe go into Pages and format it how you want, make it bold, make it italic, add color, do that kind of thing. And then from there, you can just copy it in here. What you may want to do, I found this is easier sometimes than trying to do all this, is you might want to just go into Pages and let's go and create a new document. I'm just going to call it blank. And I want to make sure that I use a page layout, convert to page layout. Pages has a couple of different types of documents. You can create word processing or page layout. Page layout is what we want with this, because I want to be able to place things where I want. I don't want them to dance around based on word processing. So convert it to a page layout. Now what I'm able to do is take my signature in here, and I'm able to add a text box, and I can put that underneath here. I can format it, do whatever I want with it. I can add lines. I can, let's just go and add a line to it. Let's go and put this here, and we'll put that there. And I have music playing in the background. Let's stop that. There we go. So now I've just, I could even change the color of this. Let's go with that. Bring that up a little bit. And I want that to be my signature. Again, I take a screenshot, copy it to the clipboard, or I could just save it to the desktop. And when I go back into the Mail app, there it is, all formatted and everything. So you could use like Pages to do that kind of thing as well. And then it's just an image, so it's always going to be the same size, but for Mail app, it's not that critical. It's not like it needs to be responsive and all that good stuff. It'll pretty much always look good. So
Good, thank you.
All right, let's okay. The next question I have is, my MacBook Air is not syncing with my other Mac or an iPhone. And this is from John. Is John here? I don't know if he's here or not. The only thing I can think of with this is that make sure that everything is set to sync and you're signed in with the same iCloud account. I have multiple Macs. So I have a MacBook Pro here that I use for my training, M1. And then I also at the school have an M1 MacBook Pro. Basically, it's the same computer. And everything just kind of syncs. I think I have two iPads and an iPhone, and they all just kind of sync. But the key to making that work is, let's go to my Mac, going over to your system preferences, and then going to your Apple ID here. This is where you find your iCloud settings. And make sure that everything is checked on all of these. Everything that you want to sync across those devices, across your different Macs. So I would go to this Mac and make sure that everything's all checked there. I want to sync my calendars, my calendar, my iCloud Drive, contacts, reminders. Make sure that they're all checked. And then I would go to the other Mac and make sure that they're all checked. And then it should sync. There's going to be one catch to this. We've talked about this before. Messages, you do have to go into the Messages app and in the preferences here, make sure that you enable messages in iCloud. That's the only way that you can get that to sync across your different devices. And that's all the other stuff. I'm assuming that they will eventually move that over to the settings app here. But basically, you want to make sure that all of that is checked. On the iPad and the iPhone, let's see, he mentioned the iPhone, so I'm going to go to my iPhone here. Hopefully, there it is. And again, you'll just go to the settings app, tap on your name at the top, and then you're going to go to iCloud, and you're going to see all of the different, just make sure all that is syncing. Now, if it is not syncing, this is where you get into the troubleshooting kind of thing. Okay, what isn't syncing? And if you have multiple devices, it sounds like John might have multiple devices. He says, my MacBook Air is not syncing with, I kind of reworded it, but it was, assuming he says with another Mac or the iPhone. So if your other Mac and your iPhone are syncing, that tells me that it's a problem with your MacBook Air. So that's what you have to do, is isolate where the problem is. Once you isolate where that problem is, and this goes across with anything, any kind of troubleshooting, isolate where the problem is, and then what you may want to do is, you're not going to hurt anything because all of your stuff is on your other devices. That is the nice thing about iCloud and Google, all these services. You can disconnect from those services and it doesn't delete it. May delete it off your computer, but they're still in the cloud, so you're not really deleting it. So essentially what you could do here is disconnect from, where is it? I don't even know where you disconnect here. Sign out. Name? I saw sign out at the bottom there. But essentially what you want to do is sign out of your iCloud account, which, edit,
Fixed on your devices, isn't it? The bottom left?
devices, down in here, this area. So I would go to my MacBook Air, view on web, not there. I have sign out here, but it's grayed out. I don't know why it's grayed out. But essentially what you want to do is, worst case scenario, you sign out and then you sign back in. Again, your stuff will disappear from your Mac, but it's all in the cloud anyway. Now, the reason why you want to find out what the problem is, or which device is the problem, is because if you disconnect your other, let's say you disconnect the iPhone and that one is working fine, well, you could do that too because it's all located in the cloud. So it really doesn't matter. But try to isolate where the problem is and then disconnect it and then reconnect it. A lot of times that will fix the problem. You could also go in here and turn these switches on and off, or checkboxes on and off, and that might be able to help too. So if you watch this later, John, that's what I would recommend doing. Isolate which device has a problem, and then turn on and off the settings, the different iCloud settings, see if that fixes it. If that doesn't fix it, you may just have to disconnect or sign out from iCloud and then sign back in on that device. And then it'll just pull everything from the cloud and you're good. I'll end with, if you can always go to iCloud.com. If you're not sure which device is having a problem, always go to iCloud.com, or if you're using Google or anything else, that is where you can find all of your data. So you could log into iCloud.com and just make sure all your photos are there and everything else. And if they're all there, you're good to go. So it should work though. That's how I have mine all set up. All right. Any info on Apple Watches? This is more speculation from Irene, and no, I don't. I would dare say, though, if you're in the market for an Apple Watch, don't buy one yet. They're getting rid of the Apple Watch 3, which is getting pretty old anyway. The form factor really hasn't changed in the last 4 or 5 years. And I have not heard anything. I personally would love to see a round watch. Who knows? I wouldn't recommend anyone buying an Apple Watch right now, just because in another 3 or 4 months, you're going to see what the new ones are. What they may do is drop the price. So they're probably going to just drop the Series 3 altogether. But then you could get the Series 5 maybe at the Series 3 price right now. So if you can wait, I would recommend waiting. I would even say that on the iPhone. You get to a certain point in January, February, March, April, May, sure, go out and buy a new iPhone. June, July, August, September, it starts getting a little iffy for me because, come October, and they have released them in September, I believe. Come October is when all the new stuff comes out, and then you can either get last year's model at a discount or you get the latest and greatest, kind of thing. So I don't have any speculation on it. I'd love to see a round watch face, old school kind of thing. No idea. So, and they didn't really say a whole lot in the WWDC about the Apple Watch. It's going to have some new sleep information and all that. But that's typical of them because they can't say too much, because otherwise you're going to know what the new Apple Watch has. So it might have some new features. It might even have some new sensors on it. But they're not going to tell you that at WWDC, because then you're going to know what the new Apple Watch has, and it kind of takes that element of surprise out. So they hold back on some of that stuff. All right. That's it for my questions. So we can do a little Q&A here and kind of go with anything else that we may have or anyone has. So does anyone have any questions? Comments? You're going to have to unmute yourself. I think I muted everyone. So.
Okay, background noise. When Ann was having her issue, I was looking in settings, and it talks about optimizing what you have on your iCloud and store it on your computer if you have space. Well, if she's running out of space, should she have that unchecked?
The optimize? Or yes.
Optimize.
Yep.
Okay. Did she though? Did she do that?
Oh, that I don't know.
Ann, can you tell us? Maybe you can show her what that looks like.
Yep.
So she can.
So what? It's Barry, right? Or Bruce? Bruce. Sorry, Bruce.
Yeah.
So what Bruce is talking about here is, I'll just go to the iPhone here. What you can do with the iPhone and the iPad and even the Mac is you can store all of your photos in the cloud, all the high-res versions of your photos and videos in the cloud. And then what the iPhone, the iPad, and the Mac will do is it will download lower-res versions of those photos and videos. And you don't really need to have high-res versions of those photos, especially on the iPhone. That's why it's only like 30 gig on the iPhone probably. Because I want to say my iPhoto library is probably, I think it's up to 160 gig, and they've crunched it down to about 30. But essentially what you'll want to do is store all of the high-res versions in iCloud, all your low-res versions on your device. So the way that you do that is if you go to the Settings app on the iPhone and you do the same thing on the iPad, and then you go to your Photos settings. There it is. You're going to see that I have Optimize iPhone Storage. So basically, on this phone here, because this is my demo phone, I don't have it checked for no reason other than I just don't have it checked. But on my personal device, I do have the Optimize Phone Storage checked. So what this will do is when I take a photo with this, let's go and turn it on. Now what's going to happen is when I take a photo with this phone, it's going to upload it into iCloud, the high-res version, and then it's going to keep a low-res version on my phone. You really won't notice it. I dare say you won't notice it. I mean, have you noticed any difference, Bruce? It sounds like you have this.
Yeah,
They do a
I
really
can't tell the
good job.
difference.
Now,
Yeah.
granted, I'm not pixel peeping, what they call where you zoom way in and all that. But here's the beauty of how all this works. I want to go and edit that photo. What it will do is it will download that high-res version from the internet to my phone or to my iPad or to the Mac. And then I can edit it, I can crop it, I can add filters. I'm editing the original photo. Once I'm done with that, it uploads that new edited version into the cloud, so all of my other devices get that same photo, the edited version, and then it keeps a low-res version on my iPhone. So it's going to clear up space again. And same thing with the iPad and the iPhone. When I have this turned on the iPad and the iPhone, they aren't going to download that new high-res version. iCloud, I don't know where they do it on the device or if they do it in the cloud, but basically your other devices are going to get a low-res version of that photo. And again, you will not, I'd bet money you're not going to really notice the difference unless you go in there and pixel peep. And then if you want to edit it on your iPad or your Mac, you basically do the same thing and it just grabs that high-res version and it's all seamless. You don't even know what's going on. It's fast. You don't even know what's going on. The only catch to it is if you want to edit photos on your Mac, when you do this, is you need to have an internet connection. Well, Ann is on a Mac Mini, which means that she's not traveling with that. It's not like she's in a vehicle working or we're at the, where there may not be any internet connection. That Mac Mini is planted there, so she's probably always has internet, so it's not going to be a problem for her at all. So, and that's how I have my computer set. So.
That might help.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
I'd like to say that I'm happy they brought the merge back to the pages,
Oh, yes.
and we may not have to use like your advice on your webpage about the third
Yeah.
party. We won't have to use that anymore.
Nope. So I'll show you what Rick is talking about. They finally, and I do say finally, with in quotes and capital letters, exclamation point, what Pages has had in the past, 10 years ago, was mail merge. So basically what you're able to do is merge your contacts or even a numbers spreadsheet with a document. So let's say you had a form letter and you wanted to send it out to 10 people. You could do that easily with Pages 09. So what are you looking at, 12 years ago? Then when they came out with the new version of Pages, which is now old because it's, 11 years old, they took all that away. So what you had to do is you had to go through Apple scripting. It's a little bit of work. I have some videos on it. It works, and it works pretty good, but it's kind of clunky. So earlier this week, Apple came out with that same feature, mail merge, and I think it works really, really well. And you can do it on your iPad and iPhone and Mac. So it might have taken them a while, a lot longer than I wish, but they got it right. So I'll show you basically what Rick is talking about. You have to make sure you're updated to the latest version of Pages. And again, they just did this, last week, Rick? I think it was?
Yeah.
So I'm going to open up a new document here. Let's go with essay. This would be something that you'd want to, right up here, you want to mail merge this. So the first thing that you can do with contacts here is you can create groups. You might want to put it, who you want to send it to in a group. And coming out in iOS 16 and iPad OS 16, those groups or lists is what Apple calls them, are coming to the iPad and iPhone. So you can manage all those lists on the iPad and iPhone as well. So essentially what I have here is I have a name. What I want to do is tie this to a field. That's how it works. Well, what we do is we go over to Document, and if I'm not mistaken, where is it? Let's try it again. Instructor's name. All right, Rick. I need your help here. Where is it?
Documents
Document. Yeah.
up there at the top. next to format.
Yeah,
Yeah, right there. And
it's
one
right
of
in.
those it'll have merge at the bottom.
Maybe I'm not updated on here, although I am because I'm going to create a video on it. Let's do. Select it. Document.
Pages, version of Pages.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to check next. So let's just go to the App Store and
Oh, look at that.
Pages.
Are you on an Intel chip Mac?
There it is.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yep. I thought I must have checked it on my regular computer, not on this computer. So we'll update it. Now you're going to see the difference. You're going to see the new thing here. Okay, so it's installing it.
While it's doing that, Dan, I'll share an experience I had yesterday. I have a 2017 Intel chip MacBook Air
Mm-hmm.
and was not seeing any of the Apple software updates. No way to do it.
Okay.
All my other devices, I could get the updates, iPad Pro, iPhone, but on the MacBook Air in the App Store, nothing. So finally got on with an Apple support call, went through 3 hands, stepped through it, let him screen share. And while I'm doing it, I accidentally click on the word Pages to the left of the button that says open. And all of a sudden the screen slides over, the button says open for half a second and then quickly changes the update. And there was the button.
All right. So this is something we'll get
I
back to.
wanted
We'll come back to that, Rick.
Okay.
Sorry, we'll come back to that, Steve, because that frustrates the heck out of me at the school.
Yep.
This is not a new. I'll show you what Steve is talking about, and it's just like add to my about the App Store. But anyway, let's get back to the Pages so we can. I can show you how this mail merge works, down and dirty, how it works. So essentially, new document, and we're going to go with the essay again. First thing you're going to see, it says, would you like access to your contacts? So all of a sudden, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Why does it need access to my contacts? Well, that's because we can do a mail merge now. And you don't have to use contacts. Come on. You can do it. Like my Cursor Pro is messing with it. There we go. So now, essentially, you're going to see it already pulled my name in there. I didn't put my name in there. It's pulling it from the contacts. So all you have to do is go over to Document here, and you're going to see down at the bottom here, this is what we were looking for, Mail Merge. I click on it, and there's the full name. Essentially what I'm able to do is click on Merge, and I can say, do I want it from the Contacts app or do I want it from a spreadsheet? So if you have a spreadsheet with all of your names and all that kind of stuff, what you're able to do is merge these 14 records. So let's go and add a field to it. Let's go with dear and first name, comma, right? And I want to pull this first name from my contacts. So essentially all I have to do is just select it. So I have it selected here. And then we go to Add Merge field, and it asks, what is this field name going to be? Well, this is going to be the first name. Okay, so there it is in the first name. And essentially all I have to do now is just click Contacts. It's going to pull the full name from the first full name in my contacts. It's going to pull the first name from the first name. This is what they call mapping fields. So I'm mapping these fields. So now, when I merge, there's Abigail, there's Apple, and it's just pulling that first name from my contacts. This one doesn't have a first name. This one has Apple. I mean, I just have generic names in there. But basically what it's doing is it's just pulling that information from from the Contacts app. And it's relatively simple to do. I mean, I just select, I could do anything. Let's say I want that to be the address. Let's just go with for fun. I want that to be the address. I select it. I go to add merge field. This is going to be the address. And you can see you have all of the fields from the contacts here. I'll go address. And now I don't have any address information in there, but basically what it'll do is it'll pull the information from my contacts, the address from my contacts app in there.
What if you have, like, let's say 20 people in your contacts, but you only want to send this mail merge with five
So
of
that's
those people?
that's the group. So if I go back over here to merge, you're going to see I have here groups. This is where Apple's getting a. I'm wondering if on iOS 16 and iPad OS 16 they call these lists. So I'm wondering if they're going to change the name over to lists. This is where it's their inconsistency comes through, but it's group on here. So in the Contacts app, what I would do is I would set up a group. So let's say I wanted to set something, mail something to NMUG, Naples. What I would do is I would just go to NMUG here, and now there are my 4 records. So basically set up a group or a list, however Apple decides to name that, in the Contacts app, and then you're able to do that. Do I have it on the I don't know if I have it updated on the iPad. And like I say, this will work on the iPad and iPhone as well. So while I look on my iPad here, I'll go back to what Steve was talking about. Well, here, you can see it here. Let's see if let's go to my iPad. So I'm in the App Store, and you're going to see that it says open. And so Steve thought that it was updated. Well, come to find out, when you actually go and click on pages here, what'll happen sometimes, and I've seen this for 3 years at the school, when you click on it, all of a sudden it'll say update. And then we have to go and update it.
How would anybody know to click on that field, that name template to the left of a button to get to a transition, or to have the open button changed to an upgrade?
And you'd think it'd be a caching thing, but they released this a week ago. And I can tell you consistently, eventually it does go through, but last year they came out with numbers just before the school year. So we had to do for 600 computers, we were going through and just updating. Updating. We'd go find it, Keynote, pages, and numbers. I don't know if I did it for all 600 of them, because at a certain point you're just like, really, do we need to have that? Our tech director wanted that, but I think you get to a certain point, you're just like, do they really need that right now?
Okay, so what Steve was saying was you have to click on that blue open first.
No. So you go and find it.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, but this is how it works for me. I think we're talking the same thing. Don't click on open here. Click on pages. So then when you click on pages.
Okay.
The name
and then
plate.
click on that.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if I updated numbers. Probably won't be able. Numbers. No. See, it's not. Now, because I want to show you, it's not going to behave. But yes, Steve, I've seen it. It's frustrating.
I left a couple of the apps not updated so that I could show this to, the Portland group at their general meeting or something, or whatever. But
so yeah, if you see an app that needs to be updated, or an app that needs to be updated, or you want to make sure that it is updated, don't rely on the App Store telling you that when I'm looking at this. Let's see, are you looking at When I'm looking at this is telling me that it is updated, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is updated. So what you want to do is click on it, and then
and it shouldn't be misleading like that.
Right.
And also, again, how would anybody in their right mind know to click on the nameplate?
Mm-hmm.
This is a user interface problem, as well as maybe a little bit of a bug thing, but with
3-year-old bug. And in my mind, really what I should be doing is contacting Apple, going to their feedback and letting them know. Right? But,
I filled that all out and filed it yesterday.
Well,
right while the Apple support guy was watching me do it on screen. And when he saw what I was typing, he goes, "Wow, you're pretty good at this. That's a pretty good explanation." But I told him, I said, "Thanks, but make sure you let your department know, or
Right.
you file it, because yeah, eventually they're going to read mine among the millions of feedback they get. But
Right.
if it's coming from an Apple employee, they might act a little sooner."
true. Yep.
Guys, I have a question for you.
Go for it.
When it comes across the screen, it says that updates available. I have an older MacBook Air, and I think I'm on Big Sur, and it says Monterey is available for updating. And then you click on it, and it's not available. I think it's 11.6.7 is what it's optimized at. Does that mean that it can be updated to Monterey, or it cannot? It comes across my screen, I'm going to click here for updates to Monterey. And when I do, it's not available.
What Mac do you have?
Excuse me?
What Mac do you have? What are you running?
Monterey 11.6.7.
Oh, you're on Monterey. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what
Not
year
Monterey.
is
I'm sorry, not Monterey. Big Sur.
what,
Yeah, 'cause I'm
what
on
year
Big
is the
Sur.
Mac hardware?
Right.
It might be maxed out on the hardware. That's it. That's as far as it can
Yeah, it
go.
might be. I'll wait for, I guess, see if it's on a security update. It'd be odd that it would tell you that there's an update, but
Yeah, it just came across the screen, update now. And
Right.
I was just surprised to see it. That was,
Well,
I
Apple
figured
did. Apple did just release a security update to Big Sur.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That I got in. That's correct.
okay,
I was surprised for it to say, anyway. I just
What-
wondered if that was another issue.
what year is the model of Mac that you have?
I think it's a 13 or 14.
Ooh.
2013.
Monterey.
I know. That's what I thought.
2013.
I have a 14 and it's won't
I
do
know.
Monterey.
That's why I was surprised to see it come across my screen. I
Right,
figured, you
right.
guys don't know what they're talking about.
right.
Makes you wish.
Hey, I'm just looking at the chat. Is my screen blurry? Barry, you said it was blurry. Did it clear up?
Yeah, it's not as crisp as it usually is on your devices on the
Very
phone and the iPad
Interesting.
and the computer. Actually, it's just not
Okay.
as crisp. Usually, it's pretty crisp. and
Yeah,
then
I got Zoom to update to 1080.
Looks good to me.
Looks good to me.
All right.
Looks
Looks
good to me
crisp.
too.
All right.
It was real blurry for about 4 or 5 minutes here.
Huh. All right.
I have a question about the mail merge.
Go for it.
When you did that mail merge and it looked like all the pieces of the documents were all connected. So when you go to mail that out, is it all going to go as one
No,
document?
the idea would be it would print it out, and each one of those would be a separate piece of paper. Yeah, it'll put a page break in between each one. So
You do, okay.
Yep, it does it for you automatically.
Okay.
Dan, a quick note for you.
Go for it.
I was so inspired by your signature description that I went through it, started doing it myself. And I said, wait a minute, there's an even faster way to do it. Use Notes, which already has a white background when you do a new note, and then immediately go up to add a sketch, which I took a sketch from my iPhone. I used a stylus, signed it in, and then took a picture of what was on the note and pasted it into the signature preference in
And
mail, and that was it.
Nice. I mean, the whole
Very quick.
The whole idea is just get a picture of your signature, right? And so
Exactly.
yeah,
And you do the same thing with the photo.
right.
You
But
can
that
take
might
it off your
yours might
screen.
actually be a little easier because you're just in one app or whatever. And yeah, but yeah, awesome.
Just thought it'd help.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Don't have to go to the desktop that way.
Yep. But can you add a signature on the iPad? Yeah, you can't yet, right? In the mail app, I don't think you can. I haven't checked with
No.
iPad OS 16. Let me look. I'll look on my phone. I have iOS 16 on my phone. So just out of curiosity, I'm just going to see if we can. New note to schedule to send later. Nope, no signatures yet in there. So, okay.
Nope.
All right. Well, let's call that a wrap. Thank you, everyone. Seemed to be pretty productive today. And like I say, I liked some of those little challenging ones that we got from Barry there. Those are kind of fun.
Good job. Thank you.
If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I will be out of town. It's a little bit shorter one, but we're going to a wedding in Little Rock next week, so I'll be out of town. But I still am going to be putting up my videos and all that. And then we'll be back for a while, and I feel a little, what do they say, discombobulated. So I keep telling Beth, my wife, it's like, we were gone, and for those of you who don't know, I'm working with Naples Mac User Group a little bit more now. It shouldn't affect this at all, but just another fun little thing for me to do. And then we're going to be gone again, so it's just getting all of this situated. So I cannot wait. Although I'm very happy to go to. I love little drives and I love traveling and all that, but it'll be nice just to get back and just like take a week and decompress. But I will be holding a class on Spark, which is my favorite email program. I love mail; it works great, but Spark does give you a little bit more. So I'm going to show you, how that works and why I use it. So you might want to register for that. And outside of that, like I say, have any questions and pass on, my name to other people. To help support this. I appreciate it, and we'll call that a wrap.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.